registered psychotherapist qualifying in Ontario, and today I will be speaking about exam anxiety and stress that students might be having before entering exams or during their performance or learning, and which strategies they can apply to themselves and how they can decrease the stress levels. And today we will be discussing about social focused brief therapy and psychology, and what's happening to your brain when you're stressed, and how you can help yourself and how you can decrease the stress and to focus better, to study better, and learn easier. So maybe you have studied a lot, you've been preparing for your exams, and you know everything that's included in the material, in the books, but yet the moment you sit down for the exam or when you are about to perform or present something, something might be happening. Maybe your anxiety levels increase and it gets difficult to concentrate on what you will be speaking about, and as if the knowledge that you have learned starts to disappear, and as if you forget everything that you have learned. Or perhaps anxiety comes earlier, even while you are preparing for it, studying, and makes it almost impossible for you to study and to learn. And maybe you get distracted. You try to distract yourself. You are using different strategies not to feel anxiety and to avoid discomfort. And the pressure is so heavy that even opening the book feels overwhelming, you feel frustrated. So today we will be discussing about these challenges and about challenges that you might be experiencing while trying to prepare for exam or during the exam. So, exam anxiety is a specific form of performance anxiety, which is characterized by excessive worry about evaluation, being evaluated, or you might have some intrusive thoughts, negative thoughts during assessment or during the exam or before the exam, and psychological arousal that impairs cognitive functioning. According to Libert and Morris, there are two components of this anxiety, performance anxiety. The first of them includes worries. This is the cognitive component, and there is a negative self-referential thinking. Maybe you might have some automatic thoughts about your identity, about yourself, about your performance. And so, roughly, this includes thoughts on the cognitive level, challenges that can be experienced on cognitive level, and it also includes emotionality, physiological component. It might be racing heart, sweating, tension, and uncomfortable feelings. So, research shows that worry impairs performance more than emotionality, and it's the rumination that might be shown in the form of I'm going to fail, I don't know the material enough, or that everyone else is better prepared. That most directly disrupts working memory because you are placing your attention and choosing to worry instead of thinking about your performance. It makes it challenging to stay in the present moment, and that can be the reason why it's difficult for you to perform while you are anxious. So, before we spend too much time analyzing the problem, let's try to become curious to learn a little bit more what you are hoping for. So, if you're experiencing these challenges, what you would like to be different, what you want to do differently, which version of you would you like to see. So, if you were not worried about your performance or anxious, what you would like to feel instead, how you would like to perform instead. For instance, imagine that you are walking into the exam building or room. What would you like to be experiencing instead of all these worries or pressure? What would you like to feel? Would you like to feel calmer, more confident, more focused, or more trusting of yourself? How would you know that you were having the kind of exam experience that you want? What you would like to notice about yourself? What would you like to be doing differently? Many students tell me that what bothers them the most is not actually the physical anxiety, but uh, sometimes it's conversations with themselves, and they got stressed when they have these automatic thoughts, negative evaluation of themselves, and the thoughts might maybe telling that I'm going to fail, I don't know enough, and everyone else is better prepared than me, and maybe you think that I'm going to forget everything. So you can try to notice what exactly is making you uncomfortable when you are trying to prepare for the exam or to perform during the exam. And noticing these thoughts that are making it uncomfortable are the first step towards change, because once you notice these thoughts and uncomfortable feelings, you can intentionally redirect your attention towards the exam or towards the material, and this would make it more easier for you to focus and to shift your attention, and this would increase possibility of your success. And while these thoughts can feel very confusing and convincing even in that moment when you hear that you're going to fail, that you cannot handle it, we're also interested in something else. We're interested in whether there have been times when these thoughts showed up and anxiety was there, but you still managed to reasonably do well. Maybe not perfectly, maybe it's not your best performance, but better than you thought. And have there been any exams, presentations, assignments, interviews, or other situations where you were nervous beforehand but somehow found a way through? So, uh, and what helped you during those moments? What did you do differently? What strengths were you using that day? And because what I'm noticing is that people often have more experience managing difficult situations than they realize. And when you start to pay attention to those exceptional moments, when you performed well, when you could cope with anxiety well, when they were able to succeed despite anxiety, in the presence of anxiety, this is where the clue, this is where they can find solutions for themselves. Maybe you think that you can't do this, but your actual life experience may contain evidence that says, I have done this, a lot of difficult things before. So anytime when you notice, when you notice these worries, anxiety, and negative thoughts, you can try to look from different perspective and to notice those moments when you are best at your performance, even under pressure. What are you doing differently that helps you to stay connected to what you know, to remember what you know, to perform well? And what helps you to trust yourself even when you don't feel completely confident? Imagine, for instance, that your exam went as well as you realistically hope for it to be. And when you walk out of the exam room, what would you tell to yourself that you handled it well? What would you, maybe you would notice that you stayed focused, maybe you would notice that you kept going well when you get stuck, and that you trusted your preparation. And what was there in the moments when you could succeed? What was there about you that helped you to stay confident, to stay calm, to stay consistent or focused on your performance? So asking yourself these questions would help you to find clues and ways of coping, dealing, succeeding. And these details matter because they begin to describe a preferred future, or your preferred future, your preferred version, and whom you would like to become. And once you can describe it, it will start, it will be easier for you to repeat those patterns again and to be able to succeed. And what would you help you to do a little bit more of what you already works? And there is a term called working memory mechanism. According to Simon Baylock's research, he explains why exam anxiety hurts performance, and anxious thoughts compete for working memory resources. And working memory, limited cognitive bandwidth, is needed for complex thinking, problem solving, and retrieval. And when worry occupies working memory, it's less available for actual exam. performance, and particularly for complex multi-step problems that require holding multiple pieces of information simultaneously, it's important to stay calm. So when you are able to stay calm and when you are worrying less, you can perform better. And according to this research, there was an important finding that revealed for simpler, more procedural tasks, anxiety has less impact, where for more complex cognitive demand, the more working memory completion from anxious thoughts required. Therefore, research it helps to explain what's happening without blaming you for it. It means that when students experience anxiety, they often assume that anxiety means they are unprepared, that they are not knowledgeable, or that they are incapable, or somehow they are not smart enough. And this is not what the research says. And research suggests that Cy and Bedlock have shown that anxiety can temporarily interfere with access to abilities you already possess. So this knowledge that you have learned has not gone anywhere, it's still there, but under stress it gets more difficult for you to focus, to concentrate, and to remember. Therefore, the problem is often not a lack of knowledge, but the problem is that worry is occupying space that brain needs for thinking. And imagine, for instance, trying to write an essay while several people are watching you or talking loudly in the room. You would notice that it's more difficult for you to concentrate, to focus on your writing, because you are too worried about what other people would say or what other people are thinking, or this would distract you and it will make it more challenging for you to stay in the present moment and to use these resources that you have to think, to concentrate. And it doesn't mean that you're not capable or you are not intelligent. And your ability to write hasn't disappeared, but the noise is simply making it harder to access it, and therefore exam anxiety often works in a similar way. And thoughts such as what if I fail? Everyone else is ahead of me. I should know this would be disturbing you. And these thoughts begin for competing for the same mental resources you need to solve the question in front of you. So what actually we can do that when we notice these automatic thoughts, when we notice that we are ruminating, we are worrying, we can intentionally redirect our attention and thinking towards what we can do, and noticing and awareness is the first step towards changing the situation. And maybe you had some moments where you reviewed the question after exam and immediately know the answer. Or maybe you've explained the concept perfectly to a friend but struggled to recall it during the test. If this has happened to you, what does that tell you? It means that knowledge may have been there all along and challenge was accessing it under pressure. And this means that perhaps our goal is not to become smarter because we already possess knowledge and skills that we have, but to go here while working with anxiety, to allow existing abilities and resources to show up more consistently, and to learn to stay calm and focused even during times of pressure, stress, and anxiety. And have there been any times where you felt nervous but still managed to think clearly? What was different about those situations? What did you do before the exam? How did you talk to yourself? What did you notice about yourself? What helped you to stay focused on the questions rather than on the worry? And these exceptions are important because they contain clues towards what might work for you, what might benefit you, what would be useful for you. And many students discover that they perform better when they shift their attention away from evaluating themselves back to engaging with the task. So instead of asking, how am I doing? They start to focus on what is the question asking me to do. So anytime when you notice these negative thoughts, you can intentionally direct your attention and ask another question. What does this question tell me about? Where should I focus right now? And if your mind is telling you, what if I fail? You can try asking what's the next step in the solving this problem, what's the next step I need to do. Because attention is a limited resource, so imagine this. For instance, you walk into your next exam room and your anxious thoughts arrive and you notice them, and you don't need to make them to disappear or to pay too much attention to them. You don't need to convince yourself that everything will be fine. You simply notice that my mind is worrying right now, and then you gently return your attention to the next question, and then the next, not because anxiety has disappeared or you are ignoring anxiety, but you are interested in helping yourself to identify what already works for you and what you would like to do instead of worrying. So if your attention were fully available for you during the exam, what would you notice about yourself? Imagine that this already has happened and you can focus, you can concentrate, you are performing well. What do you think would be different? How would you be reading, for instance? What would your pace, would you pace yourself better? Would you be trusting your preparation better? Where exactly would your attention be during those moments? These answers begin to describe your preferred exam self, and if you are able to think about it, if you are able to imagine it, it will be more likely for you, it will be easier for you to become that version of you during the exam. And what are you already doing that moves you into that direction? And because even students with significant exam anxiety usually have moments when they stay focused, moments when they recover from panic, moments when they trust themselves, and moments when they perform better than they expected. Also notice your relationship with anxiety. Whenever you have negative thoughts, when you have negative feelings, how do you react to them? What's your relationship with these uncomfortable feelings and thoughts? And what exactly, how are you generally reacting? Some people start to panic and they think, if I have anxiety, I won't be able to concentrate. If I have anxiety, if I have uncomfortable feelings, I won't be able to perform. And these thoughts complicate it even further and pull away their attention, pull away their focus. So, and for instance, we discussed in other sessions also, successful athletes and sportsmen, they are seeing anxiety as something exciting, that something that carries information about what's important for them, something that reminds them that their performance matters for them, and instead of feeling scared of anxiety or uncomfortable feelings, they see it as a preparation for starting. So our relationship with anxiety is what matters. Our relationship with thoughts is that what matters. So if you can approach anxiety and uncomfortable thoughts and feelings with kindness maybe, or just seeing it as an information, it will be easier for you to focus on your tasks, on your exam or performance. And these moments when you succeeded are evidence that you already possess capacity to succeed while anxiety is present, and that it's very different goal now. When you are trying to eliminate anxiety completely or not to feel anxiety, it's not being useful for you, because we cannot completely eliminate anxiety. We cannot get numb, we cannot delete feelings, because any human has feelings, and it's normal to have feelings, it's normal to have thoughts, and it shows that we are human beings and there are certain things that matter for us, and that our performance, our career, studies matter for us. And the moment we stop trying to delete anxiety or to eliminate it, but we form a different relationship, a kind relationship, a peaceful relationship, a safe relationship with anxiety, that's the point where things start to change. And yeah, and also when you are able to notice your thoughts, you are creating distance and time, space for yourself to engage with the task, to engage with your work, and instead of being pulled into different directions and paying attention to thoughts or being completely fused with the thoughts or feelings, when you see your thoughts and feelings from the distance and you let them be there, you have your opening space for yourself to focus, to concentrate on your work, and to direct your energy and time for things that matter for you. And there are different types of studying that I would like to share with you. According to John Dunluski's comprehensive review of study techniques, they found that possibly most important paper even written for students evaluated 10 commonly used study methods, and their findings are very interesting. There were some methods as rereading, highlighting, and underlining, summarizing, keyword mnemonics, and these were helpful for students to learn, but they produce weak and long-term retention, where there are some other strategies such as practice testing, retrieving information from memory, self-quizzing, and these practices, distributed practices, uh, spreading, for instance, study sessions over time rather than cramming. And these were more difficult to do, but they produce dramatically better retention and transfer. For instance, if you are able to explain what you have learned to someone else, or if you are trying to share information to someone else, or if you are taking tests before quizzing yourself, this is one of most efficient ways of learning and understanding. And even if it feels more challenging, difficult, this helps you to learn better and to remember information for longer term. And desirable difficulty principle, Robert Jock's concept, learning that feels effortful and difficult produces better long-term retention than learning that feels easy and fluent. This is called desirable difficulty. So also, again, it comes to relationship with your learning, your relationship and your relationship with the thoughts about learning and about exams, about your work. For instance, if you have some thoughts that this information is extremely difficult and you will not be able to understand it, even this approach would make it more challenging for you to learn. But if you remind yourself during those moments that you are trying to learn it because you choose to do it, if you are adding your autonomy, and if you are reminding yourself that you are choosing to learn about it and you are willing to learn about it, and if you are thinking about long-term consequences, for instance, what difference will it make for you if you will be able to learn this exam, if you will be able to pass this exam, or if you could use this knowledge that you are trying to learn in long term, what difference would it make for your career, for other people, or for your studies? What difference would it create? This would help you maybe to calm down and to focus better and to be more motivated toward embracing the suffering and uncomfortable feelings that might come with while you are starting to learn, while you are trying to learn. And also, according to this principle, if it's a little bit difficult for you to learn, this means that you are really learning and you are learning something meaningful. And instead of getting bored when you feel anxious or when it's difficult for you to understand, if you start to see it as something exciting or something that is teaching you, and if you look at the process of learning as uh, something that's meaningful for reminding about your why, it gets easier for you to embrace the uncertainty, uncomfortable feelings, thoughts, and to stay with discomfort for longer. So, rereading, for instance, in order to learn might feel good, but it doesn't create a very long-term consequences and very deep knowledge, because when material is familiar, recognition is easy, but this fluency is misleading. It confuses recognition with retrieval ability. In an exam, you must retrieve, not recognize. And practicing testing might feel harder, but maybe you will not understand the text that you are trying to learn immediately, and you have to work for it, you have to make efforts for it. But this struggle is precisely what builds durable memory, and this would help you to remember it better. Maybe, for instance, if you look back, maybe you will remember very clearly uh, your courses or tasks that were difficult to complete. So even at that moment when you are trying to learn, when you are trying uh, to make efforts and to do something, maybe at that moment it seems very challenging for you, but in the long run, this might benefit you and you might remember this information for longer. So it means if something is difficult for you to understand or you feel anxious about it, it actually means that you are learning something new or that you are learning matters for you. And there are some expressive writing practices that you can use. According to Simon Bailick's research, students who wrote about their fears and worries for about 10 minutes before exam performed significantly better than control groups, and especially effective for students with high test anxiety. So expressive writing decreases anxious thoughts from working memory, and externalizing your fears, externalizing your worries help you to calm down, and because they will not be within you anymore, as when you are able to share them, you are you are actually decreasing influence of those worries or thoughts over you, and they no longer compete for cognitive resources during the exam. And for instance, you can try practicing 10 minutes of free writing whatever you are worried about immediately before any assessment or exam or preparation, and you would notice the feelings of relief and relaxation after you are able to share your worries. And even if you cannot share them, you can write them down, and uh, this might be helpful for you. And before your exam, spend 10 minutes writing about the time when you performed well, and try to notice which skills, which qualities did you use for this, what was helpful, what was there about you that helped you to succeed. And thinking about your own resources, thinking about your uh, qualities and skills that helped you would help you to realize that you are capable, you have a lot of more capabilities and resources than you think, and this would increase your confidence, would help you to calm down. And what specifically did you do before you succeeded? What did you notice about yourself? What helped you to succeed? And how did you cope with it? Uh, what what was different during those times, and what difference did it make after you were able to succeed for other people, for your environment? And if you learned this knowledge from someone, what helped you to learn? What was there about you that helped you to succeed? And the most evidence-based study intervention is called retrieval practice schedule, replacing rereading with practice testing. For instance, after if you are preparing for an exam, after reading one section, try to write down what you have remembered, what you have learned, and check it. You can try to repeat it, and this is also another most efficient strategy to learn. And spaced repetition. Study has found that uh, reviewing your material, the text that you need to learn after 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, was helpful in terms of not forgetting uh, what what you have learned, and this is when retention is maximized. So oftentimes we are reading information, and if we are not using this information, we might forget it, and our brain can interpret it as something insignificant. And while like in the brain, when we look at the processes of the brain for the information to be saved and stored. Uh, a brain needs to recognize and accept information as important, but if we are not using this information, uh, it will be more difficult for us to store the information and to remember it. Therefore, trying to use the information and reviewing it after a certain time is also found useful in order to be successful and to maximize your learning. And exam protocol. Whenever you feel anxiety, notice that you are feeling anxiety and tell yourself it's okay. Try to name your feelings that might come up with that process and your thoughts, and you might say, my mind producing these thoughts, or these thoughts are here. This will help you to remember that your thoughts are not your identity or not your feelings, and this would help you to create a moment and space uh, to redirect your attention towards what matters. And you can ask yourself why this study and why this task is important for me, and what's the smallest step I can take right now in that direction to move forward. And refocusing, what's the next question? What shall I do now? What do I actually know about this? And acting, engaging with the exam from where you are, with the anxiety, not after, not waiting for uncomfortable feelings to go away. So today we've been discussing about different strategies that might help you to learn better, to perform better, to calm down and to decrease stress and anxiety levels. We've been discussing about solution focused brief therapy strategies that might help you to remember about your capability, evidence of success in the past, and to remember about your quality skills that you can use, and also to help to understand what change exactly do you want to see within yourself, who do you want to become. And we also reviewed some strategies, tools you can use to help you to study better, to learn better. And anxiety before exam is not evidence that you are not ready or you are not intelligent. We also have mentioned how your brain reacts towards the stress or anxiety, and how you can retrain your brain to focus and shift your attention towards what matters during times when you would feel stressed or anxious. And I hope this session was helpful for you. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave your questions in the comments. And if you think that these sessions will benefit others, don't forget to share it with your friends. Take care of yourself and see you in the next sessions again. Bye.